Well, look, I'm going to be realistic. 6 months ago, I probably could have gotten a brick house on over 600 square meters of land for $420,000. Today, I'm going to struggle. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of PropSpotter. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different to what we've seen historically. Today, we're going to talk about my personal investing journey and my next property acquisition. I've been blessed to be in a position where my wife and I can purchase another investment property. We have done quite a few in the last 2 years, but this one's a little bit different. We're not really at the high end of the purchase price scale. We're probably at the lower end. We're at the sub 500K mark. We can probably purchase something at an 80% LVR with a total loan size of $352,000. That essentially brings us up to a purchase price of about that 410 to 430 mark. I think anything over 430, once you throw on stamp duty, will be stretching it for us from a financial standpoint. So let's call it 420K. Come along on the journey. Look at me as I talk about suburbs, as I think about suburbs, as I really have a look at what's going on in the market. The date today is the 26th of November, 2025. So we'll see how this video ages. So let's go. First up, what am I looking for, right? So A, we're looking for a standalone house. B, we want a pretty strong yield. I'd say over 4.5%. The higher, the better. We want something with some short to medium term capital growth potential. So we want to be buying in an area that's slightly warm, starting to heat up, showing some signs of some good possible growth over the next 1 to 2 year horizon. The intention is to hold this property for 5 years and then sell and use any growth that we've gotten to essentially pay off our main home loan at our house. So each episode over the next couple of days, I'll talk about one particular suburb that fits that criteria and what I'm looking at before I narrow down into a suburb itself. Consider this a little bit of a mini series. I don't know how many episodes we'll have, but stay along, stay tuned. First up, first suburb for the day that fits the criteria, Hamilton, Victoria. 3,300. So Hamilton's about 3 hours outside of Melbourne to the west. Really small suburb. You know, we're talking population of 10 to 12,000. What brought me to Hamilton? I think first, the growth signs are pretty promising. It is looking like it's on the up. A lot of these regional areas have an ERSAD of 1. ERSAD stands for the Index of Relative Socioeconomic Advantage and Disadvantage. It's published every time the census is published, and it dictates the household income. It's scored on a scale of 1 to 10. The higher the score, the more economically advantaged the suburb is. So a lot of the Victorian regionals, they have fairly low ERSADs, generally a 1, maybe a 2 if you're lucky. What brought me to Hamilton was the fact that I had an ERSAD of 3. So as I started by thinking, sure, it's not the highest ERSAD you're going to see in a Victorian regional or a regional town in general, but it is fairly good. The second thing that brought me to Hamilton is public housing. So overall, Hamilton has very low public housing. When I say low, I mean 4.5%, right? Transparently speaking, 4.5%. There are other suburbs which overall have a much higher proportion of housing commission. Now, as you go into town, there are plenty of blocks where you can get 0% housing commission. In the suburb, the worst block you're seeing has a 12.1%, 18%, and 32%, right? So 32% is the worst area, public housing ratio of 32%. Then you've got another area at 18% and another area at 12%. Outside of that, Bob is your uncle. You're not seeing much housing commission. There are plenty of stock available and a lot of it available at that sub 420K purchase price. Now, when I say sub 420K purchase price, this is where it gets spicy, right? Are you talking about a Fibro house? Are you talking a brick house? How big's the land you're talking? Well, look, I'm going to be realistic. 6 months ago, I probably could have gotten a brick house on over 600 square meters of land for $420,000. Today, I'm going to struggle, right? I'm going to struggle, and what I'm most likely going to have to settle for is a Fibro house on 600, 700, 800 square meters of land that will yield me about 4.5%, 5% here in Hamilton. But you know what's spicier? What if I could find something with dual income potential? Now stay tuned. I haven't found anything yet, so you're going on this journey with me. 23% renter to owner ratio. So we talked about how many people own, how many people rent. It's just 23% in Hamilton. The stock on market, currently 8 listings on the market. Days on market a little bit higher at 71 days, but a vacancy rate of 0.34%. So stock is getting rented out as soon as it gets online. Now, what are we seeing sold in Hamilton lately, right? So Hamilton, we had 21 Lord Street in Hamilton, a brick house, very nice brick house, sold for $530,000. Meanwhile, 69 Ballarat Road, a Fibro house, also relatively nice on the inside, sold for $275,000. Another brick house on 2 Kent Manor sold a few weeks ago for $545,000, and another house at 145 Mount Bainbridge Road in Hamilton sold for $458,000. So plenty of opportunities there. Brick, Fibro, plus minus in the price range of $250 to $450. Now, obviously, the cheaper houses need a little bit of work. They're generally Fibro, but they also have that upside potential. So if you get that, find the right tradesman, you are able to build some quick equity there. If you want to go the brick house, well established, well renovated, you're paying top dollar. So join me on this journey. Today we're discussing Hamilton. Tomorrow we're going to discuss a second suburb and then a third suburb. And then we're going to start to narrow down based on criteria and start that hunt. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll catch you soon.